Thanks, Ceann Comhairle. Speaking to the Irish Film Board Amendment Bill 2018, the Minister has come across in saying that this is a straightforward technical bill, but I would question that, because I think and saying that it's not going to impact on the Exchequer because it's a loan capacity, it's not coming directly from the Exchequer, of an extra 200 million that film companies can actually get a loan in relation to developing their industry. And I would question a lot of the points that Deputy Boyd Barrett has raised here, and I'm not as involved in the whole discussion over the last year, but I have met workers in the industry in relation to this issue, because it does sort of, you know, the mind boggles when you hear figures of 17,000 full-time equivalent jobs and all this type of thing, when the actual experience and talking to workers on the ground totally contradicts those numbers, totally contradicts them. And I just want to make a few points around discussions that I had with a group of workers that came in to meet me, and I jotted down what they actually said. I think it'd be, reasonable enough to put that into the minutes and into the record of the Dáil during this debate. And the point the workers made to me was that the Irish film and television industry is heavily funded by Irish taxpayers, as we know. This money is distributed to the companies in the form of tax relief, and also to the Irish Film Board, which in turn gives and lends money to Irish production companies, which never seems to be returned. Also, from what we can make out, money is given for feasibility studies, for productions which might happen and never take off. Who is accountable for all this money? Section 481 was set up to create quality and fair employment within the film industry, which there seems to be very little of. Contractors are being brought in to undermine terms and conditions of workers. Many of these contractors are operating illegally for the last number of years. Some of the contractors facilitating the shadow economy. These contractors have gained a favoured position with the production companies of Ireland, as they can do the work cheaper, with no checks being carried out by the production companies as to where the taxpayers' money is going. There is also the major issue of individuals being bound to false trainee schemes, which has been mentioned, which seem to have no curriculum, no start, no middle or end date, no accreditation. I had this last night as well, and no promise of a job upon completion. Another common practice in the industry is contractors operating as heads of departments and dictating to employees as if they were the employer. It is no secret that some of these individuals are the ones who insist that honest and outspoken employees be blacklisted, and it also made the point about the recent primetime report, because I saw that as a hatchet job as well. These workers that I've met are fighting for their livelihood here, Minister, so they are going to be boisterous in their arguments and what they say and how they approach things, but they certainly are not aggressive agitators, as was put forward in that primetime report. And these men and women are being displaced for voicing legitimate concerns. This group have worked in the industry for over 20 years, Minister, and know there is trouble in every department, from the costume, camera, props, art department, locations, hair, makeup, construction, driving and so on. The industry needs to change, they said. The production companies seem to think they do not have to give workers any rights or follow any requirements by law, and that law is the 2003 Fixed Term Work Act, or the Organisation of Work and Time Act. They do on paper when they apply for the grants, but it doesn't happen on the ground. The reason they said they wanted to tell me and Deputy Tommy Brown was there at the time. We've worked in the industry for a long time, and we see the bullying and blackballing and the consistent worry put on crew members that they won't be on the next job if they ask for the basic rights and entitlements under the law. So these are men and women who have families, children, mortgages, bills, who are fighting for their livelihood in this industry, an industry that can well afford to pay workers decent pay and decent quality long-term job security. And I think it's a scandal that potentially taxpayers' money could be used by the industry that perpetuates bogus self-employment. It's not acceptable, Minister, and I don't believe it's up to the opposition to come up with how to resolve this issue and proposals and solutions. It must be done by the workers, by the government. We'll assist, most certainly, but it's up to link in with the workers and the employers and the government and proper industrial law. In the Social Protection Committee, we've launched an investigation into bogus self-employed work, and I've requested that the workers affected by this industry, the film industry, to come into the committee. And I don't know how that might support your interest, Minister, in the situation, because we're bringing in a number of different industry, English language teachers, and we've seen the catastrophe that's happened over the last few days there. But I think it would be very, very important that we bring in workers from the film industry that are impacted by this, and that we actually look and see how the situation is in the industry. Is there rampant bogus self-employed, and how does it impact on workers, and how that goes through the whole social protection of investigation in relation to these jobs. I don't know whether I can support this, even though I know, and the point's been made again by Deputy Boyd Barrett, is a very, very proud industry. A lot of people look at the film industry and they see all these big movies and big productions and say that came from Ireland, and lots of people involved in it that would make you proud in relation to that. But I don't think we can continue facilitating industry that there's question marks over, serious question marks over. And it's not just in the film industry, it's right across the board now in an awful lot of industries. And I think we have to tackle it as a Parliament. We have a responsibility to tackle these issues. I'll also make the point that there should be a register of employees, a register of trainees, a register of apprenticeships in relation to the film industry. It has happened before, it should happen again. It would be an assist and it would help in relation to trying to protect workers in this industry. I think the Irish Film Board, as it's been said, has been made up of producers, directors, actors, but it's not made up of workers directly. They're not even directly employed in the film industry. They are working in bogus self-employment in this industry. And I really think that I would certainly play a role. We will play that role in the Social Protection Committee by investigating these allegations that have been made and been brought to scope, and then through appeals by employers in the Social Protection Office, Appeals Office. So I certainly think that could play a role in your investigation to this, but I would say I'd have to think hard and strong, and would support any amendments going in to strengthen workers' rights within the industry, if we're going to be given leeway and given more opportunity for producers to make more money. That money has to go back into the pockets of workers in relation to proper pay and job security.